Look at this.
Look at us go.
I look like I'm like a 4-year-old dressed in like her dad's weekend shirt.
You look cute. You look like a little Coachella toddler.
Oh, thank you. That is the look I feel I adopt without awareness every time I come to Palm Springs.
Yeah, it's nice. Mm-hmm. You look like you have, your dad's extra large t-shirt that you sleep in. It's cool. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Pilot On podcast. This is a podcast where myself, Elliott Morgan, and my girlfriend, Grace Helbig, talk about reality TV.
Yeah.
Just across the board, no show in particular, definitely not Lifetime's Married at First Sight, which we just watched the conclusion of, the reunion.
Wow.
5 months after they've decided.
The final episode of the season.
Oh, we're gonna dive in. It's gonna be a hoot and a holler, regardless of if you've seen the show. But if you haven't, it's a show where strangers marry each other without ever having seen them, sight unseen, and then for 8 weeks you watch them devolve into madness. And this is before everyone on the planet collectively went insane anyway. So it's very fun to watch.
Yeah, this is pre-pandemic, pre-quarantine.
Yes.
Wow,
it's perfect.
I am nervous for their current quarantine situations based on what we just witnessed in the finale episode of this season. Wow.
Well, should we go chronologically based on?
Yeah, I feel like that's the easiest way, especially that helps me remember what happened.
Yes.
I hope that the fans showed up with ponchos because shit hit them.
Shit hit the fan, yes. That took a long, that was a very
This is my third podcast of the day. Yeah. I am prime, ready, and pre-apologizing for any unfiltered opinions I might have.
Yeah, and I just did video chat therapy, which it's very strange to do. So,
which is like a podcast.
Yeah, in my mind, I'm just like, okay, here's what I think about this, and you're going to do this, and this is the kind of person I want to be, and it's very, so this is all a very serious
And then we watch this
episode.
finale and just set you back 4 years of therapy.
Oh, man, it makes me real thankful. You know what it makes me thankful of the most, if we can talk in broad strokes before we dive in here, Grace?
Please, go broad.
I'm so glad I'm not in my 20s anymore.
Some of those people were not in their 20s. Are not in their 20s.
Well, the feeling is the same.
Okay, the emotional maturity.
Maturity aside, I think your 20s are tough and everything is very dramatic.
Yes.
Add a reality television crew, add the idea of getting married and staying with the same person forever and ever before never seeing them, you know.
Yeah, so you're saying you're glad you are not on this show.
Yeah,
That's what I'm glad.
I kind of sidestepped a little bit.
But you went broad. Broad.
It's a relief that it's over, but I had a great time. What did you think? Broad strokes.
Broad strokes. Also relieved that it's over. Also fascinated as always. Disappointed, surprisingly, in some people.
Okay.
Because I like to think that I want to see the best in people, and even though we do a podcast that crucially, critically analyzes the behavior of people that we have no relationship with, I still want to believe that they could be good people and give them so many benefits of so many doubts. And I fell short in my ability to do that with some of the cast members this episode.
Yeah, you ran out of grace to give them.
I did.
Yeah.
I ran out of grace and I just got mad.
Yeah. Who'd you get mad at?
We'll get there. Let's go in chronological order of how they rolled out this episode, which is the finale is basically they're catching up with all the couples 5 months after their decision day. I don't know.
5 months after decision day, which is like a year before film or after filming, and then now, but it's airing, and it's very, very weird.
And you can't tell. They never really acknowledge whether they are filming this reunion thing after the show has started airing. They never acknowledge like whether they've seen people tweet about it or if they've listened to some very, wonderfully put together podcasts that offer opinions about it. So I'm more curious about their reactions to the world's reactions to them, but I'll never get that.
I think, didn't they clarify though that was at least one event that had happened before the reunion, but after the show had started airing.
Before it started airing, yeah. So it's a whole shit show.
Who knows?
It's a whole shit show, so let's get right into it. I thought that they were going to tee it up easy and start with Austin and Jessica.
Right.
The miracle of the season.
Hope is what the host called, who did a great job.
Fraser. Fraser Frazier's his last name. I'll just refer to him as Frazier.
Kevin Frazier, I think.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Great job, because I remember last season we watched it and I was like, this is boring. This guy needs to go more like Andy. What's his name?
Andy Cohen.
Yeah, who just lays into people and goes,
He asks great questions and he doesn't let anyone get away without answering.
I feel like this host got notes from last season and came ready to party.
He really, really did.
I had a great time.
He came out strong and he didn't let up, and I really felt like he came into his own as a host of a thing like this, which is not an easy task to do whatsoever. And he really, and especially with the juicy things that have happened since Decision Day, I thought he handled himself really well, and I was proud of that stranger for doing a great job.
Yeah.
But so they didn't start with Jessica and Austin. They who did they start with? They started with...
Well, so because for full disclosure, we watched this in 2 parts. We watched one part last night, and then when it got to Zach and Mindy, we were like, no.
You got too tired, and you said, can I save this for tomorrow? And I said, you're right.
Exactly. I believe they started with Meka and Michael.
I think they started with Katie and Derek. I think they started with Katie and Derek. They got
they?
right into it.
That's right, they did.
Because the week before, they teased us with a trailer that alluded to the fact that Katie had cheated on Derek. And guess what? No illusions there. No. She fucking cheated on Derek.
That's the best when they tease it and then it ends up being exactly, if not worse, than what they advertised it as.
I was like,
it's
kudos
perfect.
to this trailer editor who was just like, I'm not going to dance around it. This is what happened, and we need people to watch this because everyone is falling off on this season.
Yeah.
So let's just give them the tease that they want.
Yeah, and from when they bring out Katie and Derek at the beginning, these guys surprised America when they said that they were going to stay together. Katie said she's sticking with it, and
they shocked the Twitterverse.
It was beautiful because we talked about it. We were like, this is great. Like they said, yes, we hope. I think we knew, you know
deep down that it was not going to work out.
Yeah, which isn't to say that they would necessarily get divorced. They could have theoretically stayed together and been unhappy forever and ever.
I thought that they would have, cameras would go away, there would be no spark, and they would have a mutual, respectful breakup.
But what happened then?
It wasn't that. Oh. No, not at all. Apparently, Katie, so it didn't go well when cameras left. They had just signed a lease, so they were living together.
Lease.
Then they decided, it's not going well. They say they had conversations or they decided, let's just be friends, but with the idea that both of us are willing to work on it. Then it devolved into, well, let's sleep in separate bedrooms and maybe start to see other people. And then it devolved into, I want a separation. Oh, by the way, I slept with my ex last week.
But don't freak out. Yeah, I slept with my ex. Don't freak out, though. It wasn't like a day or two ago. And it wasn't like during filming. It was a week ago.
It was a week ago. And to be fair, we had decided that we wanted to be friends, but try to stay married and work on it. And so you can't fault me for wanting to fuck my ex that I've been talking about since the very start of this entire series.
Yeah. She did bad. She did bad. And
she did a classic girl bad. And the horrible part about watching it, I give her credit for putting herself on this show, but it was so hard to root. I'm so disappointed. It was so hard to root for her because she was almost proud that she hate fucked her ex because she was so sexually frustrated with Derek, and she was just doing this whiny girl thing of like not taking any ownership of it being in poor taste and not being respectful of like he's a human being, and that's just hurtful any way you slice it, any way you dice it, any way you try to rationalize that like we never really had a marriage. Well, you definitely were living together and on his health insurance.
The thing is, too,
none of my friends live with me and are on my health insurance.
Yeah, the thing is, too, with that kind of thing, like everybody does mistakes in life. But the problem, I think, is when she's on TV and she's so, like you said, proud of it and so just like...
defensive of it being a bad move on her part.
Bad move, distasteful is a great, nice, kind way to put what it is. And it's a sucky thing to do.
She's got core values. Her dad, her parents have been on the show. They seem like decent human beings with decent morals. And she's like waving this like a badge of honor that like she hooked up with her ex, who seems emotionally like a fuck boy. So we don't know anything other than what she said on the show, but
which she also seems to like and be like, it wasn't anything. It was physical.
She got what she wanted.
It's exactly she got exactly what she wanted.
Exactly what she wanted. She wants a complicated life because complicated, heart-wrenching drama makes you seem like an interesting person. Which, it's...
Hence, being not in your 20s is great.
Yeah, being boring is kind of fun.
We all are learning that.
It's way less exhausting to treat people with respect.
Yeah, it's like Katie, this girl is like one of those girls, it's like she speaks 25-year-old girl language, and other people don't know that language, and she's fluent in it. Yeah. And when other people are like, you can't just do that, she's like, no, and she blabbers some like mid-20s bullshit.
When you go to France and you try and ask someone like where the subway system is, and they speak to you in French, and they're upset.
They sleep with their ex.
And then they sleep with their ex in front of you. And then they get mad that you can't understand what they're saying in French to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And it's frustrating to see and very sad. But Derek did a good job, and it was also nice to see him kind of stick up for himself a little bit. Yeah, he had a little
bit of a backbone, which I think turned her on, oddly. I think the fact that they came in with this messy problem post decision day, like, titillated her in some way.
Yeah, he grew up a little bit.
Yeah, and I know that she's going back to all her girlfriends and being like, see how I shut him down?
Yeah, that's speaking, and then they're going to speak in their language that she's going to understand. And it also, too, it's that phrase of, like, we were friends, like we
never had a marriage.
Agreed to be friends. We never. It's like reworking the reality that it was to fit your current feelings is so like, don't do that anymore.
She said, I think she started off by saying like after filming stopped, he like went back to school and his work and like wasn't in it, and like he would come home at like 11 or 12 and I wouldn't hear from him, which can be frustrating. But also, if you're what I assume. You know what happens when you assume, but I assume that she was already so disappointed by having to say yes to try and save face on camera that she was just looking, searching, chomping at the bit for things that he would fuck up so that she could just hold on to that and use it as leverage to get out of the relationship.
She's like, I was already the bigger person by agreeing to stay married to you, even though I hate your guts. So now you owe me.
Even though I've constantly castrated you verbally on camera. So you owe me a thank you for making you seem cool by being in a relationship with me.
I demeaned both you and the idea of a guy like you.
Yeah, you're everything I asked for, and I hate it.
And for those reasons, I'm out.
And for those reasons, I'm out.
Yeah,
but I did appreciate that he stood up for himself, and then later when they bring the whole cast out, he stands up for himself a little bit more. We'll get into that. So they started off hot. They came in hot, and that's what got me real excited about this final episode. I was like, oh yeah, here we go.
I was surprised. I was like, this show has scraped every piece of footage off the memory cards that they can, and then this was like, okay, they got some new charming
they got some stuff
charms
going on. These people, it seems, have gotten worse since filming, so I'm all ears.
Yep.
Okay, then they moved on to Meka and Michael, and I did love the swiftness in which they moved through all the couples. I thought they didn't waste time.
Not only the swiftness that they moved through the couples themselves were very swift, like Mindy, which we'll get into, when she basically jogged into the room.
Oh, God, I know. Well,
but anyway,
Meka and Michael come out, they sit down, clearly... They're exactly where we left off with them.
It's like we hit pause.
Yeah, and they are sitting exactly the same way. Michael is clearly on guard, like his physicality is already a little uncomfortable and defensive.
The fingers come out almost immediately, the sort of wavy fingers.
Yeah, and looking off to other areas while explaining himself and not really making eye contact with people, and always readjusting himself and like shifting how he's sitting. And Meka, I thought, was great. She just came out and said what she's been saying. She's been, other than like Jessica and Austin, the most like even keel, and Mindy, I guess, the most like...
Well, Mindy's in a league of her own, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. She's just been saying exactly what she wants and feels, and it hasn't changed since the beginning. So her authenticity is through the roof in my book.
Yeah, but you can't fault her for being like, this is... No.
No, I wanted someone that told the truth, and he didn't. And then the host, Mr. Fraser, he kept trying to get Michael to admit that these inconsistencies, as they so graciously kept calling it, not lies, they kept saying your inconsistencies with what you're saying, you can understand how that would bother someone. And he tried to go into more defensiveness about that, and she said he was like, but do you teach yoga, man? Because I saw you do it. I thought he went in a little hard, a little fast with Michael.
He should ease up on the yoga stuff a little bit.
He basically said, you look like shit when you do yoga. There's no way you're a teacher.
Well, he doesn't have like a yoga body.
Right, but then the moments, the B-roll that they have of him doing yoga, it doesn't look very advanced, I guess. And so it's hard to imagine him teaching other people these skills.
Rudimentary moves for amateur.
Right, and then he said that he works as a teacher there, and then Mika was like, I called every single studio owned by this company, and you didn't work at any of them. Yeah. And so he was caught again. It was another, you got. And I think he finally said
something. He gave some kind of I can see how that would
apology, be. Yeah. And Mika, took it for what it is, because that's all she's gonna get. That's all any of us are gonna get from this situation. This dish towel that we've been wringing out is now completely dry. Yeah. There's nothing left to squeeze out of this lemon.
They shouldn't have been together. They're not together. It's a happy ending.
And that honestly puts me at ease.
Me too. They shouldn't be locked in the same place right now.
No, they should not be hunkered downing together.
So should we keep going in order?
Yes, let's keep going in order, because then we get to Mindy and Zach.
By the way, we've watched other things, okay? We watched all the devs, which we'll get to.
Oh, and the last season of Survivor that was on last year, we're burning through, and that's getting me all hot and bothered. So I don't, we're a little late on that one, but I'm mad at some of the women on that show.
Oh my gosh, babe.
I know. I don't want to really get it. Maybe at the end we'll talk about it. I half of this podcast is just talking about what we're going to talk about
That's
in the future.
How I do it, yeah.
So Mindy and Zach show up, and Mindy, like you said, she just charges into the room and is like,
stomps almost.
Yeah, she stomps in, and it's just you could tell she's so over having to do this conversation.
She entered that set like she was happier to just not be standing next to him backstage. Yeah. She was running from him. It was great.
And then he comes out, he's got his glasses on, he's got what is this called that goes in your pocket?
The
pocket square.
Little pocket puppet.
A little pocket
little
square.
Guy coming out.
Yeah, that's literally falling out of his jacket.
But it was a cool outfit. The guy wears great clothes. He understands style. He's a cool suit for sure.
Aesthetically, Zach has it on lock.
Yep.
Everything else is flailing, but
everything else is rebelling against the physical, the aesthetic stuff.
They ask Mindy basically just how has she been, and she just rattles off every soundbite possible. She's like, I didn't get what I wanted out of this experience, but I came in here with an open heart, and that makes me stronger. I think I'm better for it. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I was like, She just answered every question that this interviewer possibly had for her in one sentence.
And it cut back, and she was looking at her hand because she had it all written down. You good? You happy? You got it?
And then they talked to Zach.
Then they gave our favorite boy a little bit of airtime. Missed him.
You gotta find out what's up with Zach.
Oh, okay. So listen, y'all. They did a whole segment on how long-winded this dude is.
They gave him a gift, and they gave us a gift.
Oh my god, it was so needed, and I didn't know how needed it was, because I was like, I wish they would just collect all these moments of him talking in circles.
And they did.
And they did. If you haven't seen the show, totally cool. But also maybe go check out at least the reunion and scroll to halfway through the episode and see the way this guy talks in circles. I'd forgotten. It's art, and I don't know what part of his brain is firing off, but I've never seen anything like it.
It's real.
And I bullshit constantly. I BS nonstop, and this dude is he's a master.
It's like someone spinning in circles, and then they can't stop spinning until they fall down. That's how I feel like.
He's like the top in Inception. You know the end of Inception? Have you seen Inception?
I have, but I don't. Oh yeah.
It just leaves it spinning. Yeah. That's it, and it's waiting to.
And they give him. They show this package because they go. Sometimes it's really hard to follow you and what you're saying, and so they cut to this package. He comes back, and Mindy's like, I hate to say it, but I I would be embarrassed if I were you.
Oh, he said,
watching.
I'm embarrassed for you, boy.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed for you, boy. Man, being called boy is one of the most powerful things you can do.
Especially by a woman who is a woman.
A woman and mocking you and
but also being gracious and polite, and like that's the deepest cut of mockery that she'll engage in.
It's the power of niceness, man. It's
I loved it.
You could say a million bad things about somebody, but you tell a dude like that offhandedly, like, oh man, I'm embarrassed for you, boy. Oof. You're just like, I'm nothing. I'll never be anything. I never was anything.
How cutting. And then he says like he was in it, and then the host is like, you never moved in. You weren't in it.
Yeah, because
there's no way.
He used the phrase, and I really like this. He said, of course I was checked in. I was checked in the whole time. And then the host was like, you weren't checked in. You literally weren't even living with your wife. And
you
I
were
was like,
checked out. You never checked in.
Yeah, never checked in. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, I guess you're right. And it's just, and then she says, yeah, I hate to say this too, but I think he came on here for publicity, which again, her ability to handle herself with such tact and elegance is, like I said, a superpower.
Yeah.
Because there is such a harsher and more like cutting way to say that feels deserved to do to him at this point, and she still takes the high road while getting her point across. Oh, it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah, no, she talks like a script that a guidance counselor or a relationship counselor uses. Why don't you say it like this? Why don't you say and be honest?
Exactly.
You feel like he might be here for publicity, and that's it. You don't need to get. And she's just like, okay, I gotta do it. I gotta get it out. He did his thing though, but I think what I've noticed about him since I've gotten to know him so intimately well over the past 6 months or however long we've been watching this, there's a shamelessness to him that is incredible. Like it's a complete. He's like a duck,
like a sociopath.
Like a sociopathic duck, and he
I don't mean that. No.
Me neither. The duck part a little, but like it just falls off of him. And there's a little part of me. It's like that's amazing that you can be inundated with that level of people hating you and still just actually seem to not care. It's one thing to have sort of a like high brow approach or whatever. He actually seems to genuinely not give a crap about anything they bring up to him.
Right, and like they say, like we doing stuff on the internet. Like we should have a thick skin for negative comments, and we talk about how it is really hard sometimes because comments do get to you because we're all fucking human beings, and when people cut deep, they cut deep and it hurts. And so you try to build up a tolerance, but it's a very active practice to do. Like I have to at least like remind myself to not get like caught in the web of negativity. But I don't think he has the need to dig himself out, because I don't think he has the ability for it to affect him.
No.
It blows my mind unless he does a great job hiding it, and like inside he's actually like torn apart and ripped to shreds, which is he might be, and that's fair, and I feel bad for that. But I truly don't think he understands that what people are saying to him sometimes, which is why he digs himself into holes with his words.
Yeah, and the bad thing too is like when you have a show like this, people are going to say the meanest things possible, similar to how they do on the internet.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I think a tolerance for mean internet comments, it implies that the only reason you have a tolerance is because you've read so many of them that it takes a certain specificity and a certain like consistency to make it suck real bad.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll get there eventually. But like when you have a bunch of people telling you and making fun of you about the legitimately bad behavior that you've done, it's kind of tough, I think, to understand that what they're doing by being incredibly mean to him isn't great, but also they're bringing up really good points, and it doesn't seem like he sees any of it.
No.
Like, he's not even negatively affected by the bad stuff, let alone affected at all by the good stuff. Good seeing you, Grace. Thank you for being here.
Bye. On that note, I'm going to zack it out right now.
Grace Helbig, thank you for joining us. Welcome back.
Thank you. I've had a great time. I've grown as a human being. I'm thankful for the experience. It wasn't exactly what I had hoped for, but what doesn't kill me makes me stronger.
That was very good. And it took me a really long time to realize the joke you were making.
Thank you.
I was like, you really got into... All right.
So they're exactly where they left off, and I'm just glad that Mindy's still being so wonderful, and kudos to her.
But, guys, we got to get into the drama here in a little bit, because it gets crazy.
Okay, because
we're not even We're not even in.
We're scratching some surfaces. Then they have Jessica and Austin, which we can kind of move through pretty quickly. Surprise, surprise, still together.
Sweet
Everything's going well, blah, blah, blah. We, to be fair, fast-forwarded through a lot of their segment.
Austin looking like a cool young pastor, rolling in. Small congregation, but he's a young man of the Lord. And looks...
He wears T-shirts sometimes, and that's cool, because Jesus didn't wear a button-up.
No, yeah, he's hip and he's neat, and you should come hang. And and then they're great. They're just sweet people, and also very well spoken and very not afraid to be like, this is what I think, which we'll get into in a little bit because things get real dramatic later in the episode. Yeah. And Austin has this a couple lines where he's just like, I just feel like that.
Comfortable.
Yeah, the way he brings up conflict is similar to a little bit how my brother does that, where he'll just sort of be like, I mean, I just think that this seems kind of crazy that you would do. And it's very
It's like the most real person way of bringing it up. It's like clearly someone that's not in entertainment, that's not a reality show person, that's not like truly is your average Joe trying to decipher and sift through this completely bizarre situation that he's been put in. I truly don't know how he got on this show, to be honest.
Because he's just a good, normal person.
He's just a normal.
Yeah.
But then... Oh, go ahead.
No, after you. There's nothing more to say there.
They're good. They're hanging in.
Bless their hearts. Love them to death.
Bless their hearts. And then we get into Taylor and Brandon.
Okay, so this stressed me out, and I don't even want to talk about it. I don't like this. I don't like these people. Or I don't dislike these people, but I don't like what they became. I
don't like the situations that they have inflated the bad parts of them.
No, yes.
So Taylor comes out by herself, curious to start, because apparently the two of them, her and Brandon, have each put a restraining order on each other.
A protection order.
Oh, I'm sorry, a protection order.
That is what they call it at first. Like, that's what people...
I know. I was like, restraining order? They have a protection order on both of them because there was an incident in a bar that ended with both of them being arrested.
Yes.
And Brandon is not there, but they have the court case filings for the protection order that describe his side of the scenario, and Taylor is there, so they ask her to recount the story of what happened.
So just to recap here, folks, there's a show called Married at First Sight on Lifetime where strangers get married to one another. At the beginning of starting this podcast, I thought that this show had a higher success rate than the majority of dating shows on television. It turned out I was wrong, and you guys were very kind about letting me know that, and I was naive, and it makes sense. And it turns out that while the cameras were not filming, one of the couples got into some sort of an altercation at a bar, and got drunk, and then got arrested, and then went to court, and then the other people from the reality show had to go to the court and tell their stories.
Part of the court proceedings.
This all, like, we watched a week ago. Then they were all together, and then a week later, they're like, for the past 5 months, we've been going through court proceedings, and we can't be around each other.
And they're all uncomfortable because clearly all of them are afraid of saying too much because of the legalness of it all. I'd be afraid of having to speak my opinion about this situation on this program, knowing that there are actual legal documents in play right now. So basically, Taylor's side of the story is that she was out drinking at a few bars, which means she was shit-faced, and at the last bar of the night...
Oh, she did a great thing where, she started her story and she goes, we'd been out all night, and she kind of
we were at
buried
this bar,
the all-night part.
And then we were at this other bar, and then we went to this other bar that Brandon said that he wouldn't go to anymore. Like, our mutual spots, like, he wouldn't go there. And I was with a friend.
Where he used to work as well.
Yeah. And so she was with a guy friend. And what seems like what happened is she was drunk. She went to get a water. Her water fell. And then when she spilled and was getting her water, and when she had turned around, I guess Brandon had seen her like canoodling with this guy and tried to take photos of her and this guy for whatever. I'm sure it's probably because their divorces weren't finalized, and whatever legal shit was going on in the background, he was probably collecting like his own case so that he could make it in court or whatever needs to happen. That wasn't detailed on this program. But then she tried to leave. He followed them. And then she, I guess, called the cops and said that he assaulted her or something. And then he said that he had photographic evidence that she assaulted him. And they ended up both getting arrested. And the host asked, so how long did you guys stay in jail for? Like a few days? She's like, a day, I think. And I'm like, how do you not know how long you were in jail for?
Wait, is it that March? I don't know. Was it my March day?
I think it was like a day. I don't know. So then they had to go to court, and they both filed protection orders.
Okay.
And it's so nuts.
Let's back up here, Grace.
Back up. Beep, beep.
So,
Go ahead.
What happens when two people
Stop being polite and start getting arrested?
Oh, yeah, it's good. They get restraining orders on one another. Mm-hmm. What happens if they break it? Because if one of them breaks it, the other one broke it. So do they go, hey, you're breaking the restraining order? And then they go, no, you're breaking the restraining order.
I don't know. Do they both go to jail again?
I think that, like I said, when we're watching, I think they're like magnets, and you can't get them closer. They explode.
You can't put them next to each other. And she seems like she's content and trying to see it like come out on the other side as like the moral high ground, because she said that this is what she was asking for from him the whole time, is that she didn't want to be around him. But also, if you know that, and you know you're in DC, there's tons of bars in DC. At what point do you have to take some responsibility and just go, I know he used to work here. If your social circles cross at all, like, play it a little safer, but also who knows how late in the night it was and what was going on and who and what and why.
No, you marry somebody on a reality television show, and then you find out, if you get a divorce, where they frequent, and then you never, ever, ever go there.
Ever.
If they go, I probably won't be there, I won't go back. You don't go, because you know they know that place,
but
and
also,
you know that
let's
place.
remind ourselves, Taylor is a reality show person that wanted to be on Love Island, so cameras or not, she gonna go to that bar
with her new boo,
and she's gonna get up in Brandon's face and call the cops.
Yes, and tell him she's scared.
She's hoping for a spinoff. She's hoping for that TLC, the Family Chantal spinoff. You don't know that reference, but some of you out there do, and that's what she is hoping for. And I don't think she's gonna get it at all.
No, it was too much. The moral high ground play was really, for some reason, it didn't sit. I don't even think she's a bad person. I just think she was doing a moral high ground in such a way that was like, this is neither of y'all look like saints.
I think she's a party girl in DC, and she didn't want to be censored in her partying at all, and so she went for it. And I think Brandon is a temperamental person, and I think it was late at night, and I think they just rubbed each other the wrong way, and that there's a lot of unresolved, and probably at this point the show might have been airing, who knows.
Maybe,
because I would, if I was in that terrible situation and I said no on decision day and it dissolved into such shittery fuckery, and I started to see the show get aired and how I came across, I'd resent that other person so much, and you'd want some sort of like angry closure. They got their angry closure.
Because you're reliving it. You're like, I should fight for me.
And I'm going to go out. Now I'm like a kind of pseudo local celebrity, so I'm going to go out wherever I want. And it's like Real Housewives, that they just cause so much drama because they have inflated egos about their own like fame.
Yes. I also, though, and this is not to,
but who knows?
To be
we
defensive.
Don't know all the
That's
details.
the thing. Because here's the thing. I think that, not to go back to this, but in your 20s, sometimes numbers and social media and things matter a little bit more. Maybe I'm just in denial, and maybe I'm, it matters to everybody a little bit. But I feel like she could grow out of that, and that's just where she is. And I have no like big fiery opinions on her. However, this episode with Katie, different story. That girl came in and went pure villain, like on anything I've ever seen.
Well, so okay, let's get to that. So basically, after Taylor and Brandon wrap up there, where they're at now, they bring the whole cast, whoever's there, Brandon aside, out, and they talk collectively about their situations. They start talking about Taylor and Brandon's not there, so unfortunately they kept putting it on Michael because he's the closest one to him, even though I don't think he's really that close in real life with him. I think they
babe, yeah, we should talk about that whole scene. Was crazy.
Yeah, so they kept asking Michael what Brandon's point of view about this situation would be, and he's speaking as eloquently as he can for someone that's not there, and also is shocked that he is now responsible for being Brandon's spokesperson. So he walks off as soon as I cut to a commercial, he like gets up and walks off, and then the host ends up going to see what's wrong with him, and then they spiral into a bigger conversation about being black men, and that the host is like, that's, you can't bring that's not what this conversation's about, but we do have a responsibility, and like they close the door but you can still hear their audio.
Yeah, it was very
it's a very classic Bravo moment.
Yeah.
I feel like they're following in the steps of Bravo reunions, and I really like it.
That's exactly what they were doing. Yeah, almost to a T.
Well, they're doing it bad. They're doing it clunky and bad and awkward, and Bravo's so perfect at it. But also, I think the cast that they have in this situation is much more delicate, whereas Real Housewives are just like, rah, 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 and then you follow them into, and they have like girdles that they're unsnapping,
they're
but then they're like,
flytraps.
give me the producer, I'm sitting next to Andy.
Yeah, they're living Venus flytraps.
Yeah, that's fair. But so they all kind of talk about Brandon's situation with Taylor. That's where we find out that a lot of the other cast members have been involved in the court case, and they're all just like, it's like little elementary school kids like being scolded. Like there was an altercation in class, like someone pushed someone, and the teacher is now asking them who knows what about the situation, and they're all kind of like heads down, hands folded, going, I mean, I heard some shoving. I don't really know, and it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it's such a there's something about it that just seems so ego driven on both sides, where it's like she did the restraining order first, and then he was like, hold my beer, I'm gonna get a restraining order from you too.
Yeah. And
so then you're having to go to court with these people that you did a TV show with, who now, even without cameras, are so dramatic. They're dragging you and affecting your life into court.
God.
And you're having to see all these people that you probably weren't close with and wouldn't really be close with in real life.
Well, you say that, except all of the women on this season went and got matching tattoos on their ring finger that's a cursive of the word 10. Because they're the 10th season of this show.
The women, you pack them together, they become friends. The men, you pack them together, they go hello, and then they never talk to each other.
Never, ever again.
They don't get tattoos.
Yeah.
And the number, they got the word 10.
The word 10 in cursive on their ring fingers. Which that makes me a little uncomfortable. The only, I guess, upside to me is that the tattoos on your fingers eventually blur away, I've heard. So maybe this, like a lot of their relationships, will just eventually dissolve into a messy thing that they can't fully get rid of, but at least it's not as clear as it used to be.
After 20 years, it's going to say
end.
Thin.
It's going to say end.
Yeah. Tag.
Then they circle back to Katie and Derek.
Yes, so that's a whole thing that I don't even know. I feel like hitting something for that whole experience, because she was bad.
Yeah,
She'd be mean.
She
And it's don't do that. Don't do it on TV. We joke about people. We actually spend a lot of time defending them.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to
be bad.
Be bad.
We're not better than any of these people. Every human is a human, and like they sign up for a show that provides us entertainment that we watch, and it's so we have respect for them. But I could not hold on.
We have a line. We have a line that I can hit. I'll speak as myself.
Yeah.
I have a line where at some point Zach hit it, and then Katie came in and hit it for no reason. She was doing fine, and then 3 episodes ago she became awful.
It got worse and worse and worse, and I wanted to be like, no, girl, no,
don't do because
do this. This is bad, and you're gonna be real. You know, you feel justified in it right now because you're mad and you're sad at yourself and you think you're a hot shot, and it's not gonna come across that way in hindsight.
No, it's gonna be bad.
So basically, what were they saying? I forget exactly how it went down.
It was basically, they revealed later that, and I don't know if you
they asked the cast, because they had teased up top that she had hooked up with her ex, but then apparently it was a rumor that after their honeymoon, when they came back from Panama, that she hooked up with her ex, and that Derek had heard that from other cast members. So they flat out asked if any of the cast members wanted to come forward and admit that they had told Derek that, and the only person that came forward was Meka, that said, I didn't say that to him.
Yeah.
And I love that so so much.
How did I say it wasn't me?
Meka's like, my hands are clean here. I went to court for you guys.
Yeah.
I did not say that.
Mika's
Stop it.
walking out of just elegantly just.
I wish there was just like a Meka moment where she was allowed to say anything she wanted to every person on that stage.
Yes, and I'm sure she would have plenty to say.
I would have loved
it.
But anyway, yeah, and then Katie just like.
Well, before Meka just offered that she wasn't the gossiper, the Judas.
Yeah.
Thank you. Derek played the peacekeeper again because he's such an awful guy. And even as the host brought up, was like, if anybody wants to say who said this about Katie, Derek's wife, and Derek was just like, by the way, you guys don't have to say anything if you don't want.
Well, he said it was a couple of friends and cast members, so it was
he put
from
it off.
multiple sources. It wasn't only the cast that told him, and that he respects them, and he's not going to say their names, so it's okay if they don't want to. Yeah, he's making everyone as comfortable as they can be in this very uncomfortable scenario. God bless his heart.
Yeah, and of course, nobody said anything basically, but it was revealed later that at some point after filming, during the show airing, that Katie, Derek's ex-wife, excuse me, decided to get drinks out of nowhere just to catch up with Zach.
Who, by the way, before this, because we're sorry we're jumping all over the place, we just watched it and it's all coming back to us now, that they brought out Mindy's friend, Shani.
I was so boring, I blocked it. It fell out of my brain.
It was so quick, but they had her come out quickly to address the fact that Zach had been like friend cheating on Mindy with her friend Lindsay.
Yes.
That was filmed going to their wedding, and like Shani came out and just basically confirmed that she's seen something that admits that Zach had like tried to hang out with her, and that she thinks that there was some inference to them potentially getting together, and that Lindsay thought she was a better match for Zach, which my conspiracy brain went that the conspiracy theories I said before about how we meaning me, read online that a couple of the wives dropped out before this season, and that's how they planted in Taylor, and it was basically about Taylor, but they said a couple wives, and that's why like Taylor and Brandon weren't originally matched for each other. If that's true, do you think that Lindsay was chosen and that she backed out, and so they brought her friend Mindy in, and that's why Lindsay's having conversations with Zach, alluding to that she could have been a better match for him.
Right, and she probably couldn't do it for various reasons. And
I don't know.
Mindy came, because why wouldn't you audition for a show like that with your friend? You would most likely go to the casting call because it's 8 hours anyway. You might as well have both of them do it.
And that legally, if that is the case, they probably can't flat out say that on the show because it compromises the integrity of the production and the entire conceit of the show. So, of course, they have to keep that under wraps. So there's probably this entire other layer that they're all dancing on that's all filled with eggshells that they're not allowed to just crack in front of us.
But we're not saying that for sure happened, so let us know what you think in the comments below.
I'm out of breath. But Shani comes on, basically confirms that Zach fucked it up, and then leaves all within like 30 seconds. And Mindy, God bless her, beautiful, forgiving soul, is like, I reached out to Lindsay in the hopes that maybe down the line we could potentially think about possibly rekindling a friendship, perhaps. And then Shani just goes, I'll never be your friend again. And I was like, I like that.
Wait,
Shani just goes, I will never be her friend again. No, I will never be your friend again.
That's great.
Because Mindy was saying it's not just between her and Lindsay. They have a giant friend group, so this affects the dynamic of everyone in their friend group, unfortunately. Well, and Mindy's being so sweet and like...
Yeah, because Mindy has so much poise, and I think it's hard to like maintain that level of poise, especially when the stakes are so high and there's cameras everywhere. But when you're the friend of somebody who has to maintain poise on camera,
you can say whatever you fucking want.
That's the best.
I wanted all of her friends. I wanted that other friend whose name I forget that calls Zach like a baby bitch. I wanted her up there speaking her piece.
Roller derby team.
I wanted that whole roller derby team of friends to get up there and just run him over with their words.
Yeah, but because Mindy's, it's so, if I don't know, if you're ever in a situation where your friend is biting their lip for some reason, but you have the ability to just go off, there's so much
catharsis in that for both people involved.
Which I guess, I was very cynical when she came on the set because I was like, no one needs this. This is so boring. Like,
they needed it for moral support for Mindy so she could talk about this side of the story, but they made Shani sit next to Zach and not next to Mindy.
They just wanted the people at home to go, okay, the person who gets it, it's crazy.
I was like, give me a meeting with the producers. I can organize this so much better and there'll be so much more drama.
Guys,
we need GoPros in the dressing rooms, in the crafty. We need them mic'd when they're walking in.
Shred the waivers. Who cares? Do whatever you want. Don't leave a paper trail.
But then, so then going into that, then Derek and Katie start quacking about their shit, and then Katie reveals that Zach had asked her in passing that they had talked casually around Christmas time, and that he was like, we should get drinks to catch up and talk about the show because the show hadn't started airing yet. But that's a very friendly way to say that they like went on a date. Basically.
Yeah.
And Katie
no one has
said,
will you go on a date with me since like 1954.
I know. And Katie's got this odd smirk the whole time that seems like she's proud that she got a drink date with Zach and that she didn't initiate it. But then it's like the girls all just got tattoos, and poor Mindy, they're like, how do you feel about that, Mindy? She's like, nothing surprises me at this point. And it's like, quit kicking her. She's the best human on this stage.
Well, and Brandon. Or not Brandon, Derek. Derek's sitting there like, what?
Yeah, this is news. This is news to me, but I don't know. She might have fucked her ex during lunch in the green room. Oh. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't come out on set and be like, hey, it's me.
Yeah, I want to see her ex, which also I haven't had a chance, and I'm going to do it after we're done recording this. I'm going to get on Twitter and see what everyone's talking about. I just got to see if our opinions are in line with the group think, and what are some other interesting theories and philosophies.
Yeah, you just want any conspiracy.
I just also like to see the GIF choices that people use with their tweets. Yeah. I think it's a very telling and fun thing.
So it was a whirlwind of an episode, folks, and you can't blame us for having a little lack of structure on this because we've just been inundated with a lot emotionally, and this is also all we do. We've watched a lot of TV lately, and every now and then something like Married at First Sight has so much drama in it that it wears us out.
But it's sneaky drama because it gets so boring and it plateaus for so long, and then they just ramp it up unexpectedly with an arrest and some protection restraining orders, and then all of a sudden you're like, huh? You guys should have milked this part for 17 episodes.
It becomes very clear that they're very much making it up as they go along. But it's a good time.
And then how did it end? Oh, they ended with Jessica and Austin, and like, reminder, we didn't fuck up this one couple, thank God.
Which, speaking of more Married at First Sight, Grace has an excellent conspiracy theory that because this episode had such poor results, that they are now airing the Australian version of Married at First Sight.
Which so many of you have tweeted at us and messaged us about if we think this is a shit show, we should watch the Australian version because apparently it says like hold my Fosters and goes
Fosters.
Nice.
That's good. That's good.
And then they played a preview of it in the commercial break during this episode. I'm
awful.
So fucking excited. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. It's the greatest gift that they could give us after this trash season.
No, it's gonna be bad.
But then on top of that, they also announced the next season of the American version, which is in New Orleans, which
I like how you got really serious for this part, but seriously, guys, they do have.
No. Well, one, we need more content to talk about. But two, I think they know they fucked up, so they're sweeping this season under the rug and just pushing way more content on us in quarantine to be like, see, look, okay, we'll try again. Forget about this. Restraining order who?
I mean, what's next? They got restraining orders. They went to a courthouse. They did this all without cameras. They got drinks with each other behind the scenes. They cheated on one another. It was pure reality. Great. That was perfect timing. Yeah. Well, let's talk about Devs for a second, and then maybe we talk about the Survivor thing, because you mentioned that.
Oh, yeah, you just heard us talking about what we're about to talk about.
Shocker. Welcome back, Grace.
Hi, thank you for having me. You can't touch me like that. I have a protection order against you.
No, I have a protection order against you.
My order is that you protect me.
You have to stay, That's good.
That's cute.
That's sweet. That's a sweet way of looking at that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it gave us a little bit of everything at the very end. It was a little too late, but I'm eager and we'll watch the next season.
We'll watch it and we'll give you guys all the latest and greatest on it. But as we were just talking about what else to talk about.
Oh yeah, so we've been having a very curious spectrum of content that we've been indulging in. We're watching this trash reality television psychological experiment program, and then we're watching Devs.
Yes.
Devs, which would you like to explain what this is?
Sure.
We don't have a middle ground when it comes to content.
No. What would be our middle ground?
Well, explain
Scrabble?
what this is first so they can see the whole spectrum.
Okay, so Devs is Nick Offerman stars in it, and it's from the same director and writer as Annihilation and as well as Ex Machina. Mm-hmm. And there's spoilers in terms of a bunch of other things we won't talk about, but essentially a Google-type company in the future has an eccentric owner with certain secrets, and it is revealed that he's created a machine that seems to do some sort of interdimensional play because he's trying to find his daughter that he lost. So they have a giant monument that's his daughter that he's trying to reach through the dimensions. And the show goes from like this really kind of feeling small, a little bit of espionage, to this strange sci-fi philosophy show, and it's really cool, very dark, very strange.
It's so well done, but it's also so intense,
so unique. I've never like the music and it's just that director, Alex Garland, I think is his name. Mm-hmm. But we watched Annihilation after watching Devs, which I mess up, and I didn't tell you this. I thought we were watching Ex Machina. I got the two confused, and Annihilation was not the one to watch for sure.
It was it was a day of very intense multi-universe conversation after being in quarantine and wondering if we're in a simulation. It was not the best thematically to indulge in so deeply and for hours and hours and hours, but it was every actor in it's great in both the movie and the show, which is on Hulu.
No, it's on Hulu, but it's on FX.
Oh, okay. Everyone, Nick Offerman's fantastic.
So good. Nick Offerman, who did Ron Swanson in Parks and Rec, is one of the cast members, but I've never seen him do anything like this, and we watch Making It, which is another one of our reality shows.
I love it. It's Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman, and it's basically Great British Baking Show, but for crafters and DIYers. It's
perfect. It's like Lego Master, but like, same idea, which we also watch. And Nick Offerman plays this like very friendly host who likes to like see how yarn works. And then we watch a show about the multiverse theory. And in this show, Nick Offerman appears, but he's different, and he's an eccentric, like, tech guru. Yeah. And so you're watching a show about dimensions and how there's multiverse and there's different versions of ourselves. And we're watching a show starring it from a guy from another show from the other end of the spectrum that we like to watch.
Yeah, it was just a lot.
What are the odds, Grace?
What are the odds?
I mean, you don't seem to be as moved by this.
I'm still wondering what my other people are doing in the other multiverses in this simulation.
Right.
It was very heavy, but very fascinating. And
I recommend it.
Yeah, highly recommend. And it's a huge departure from Married at First Sight.
Very, very, very big departure in terms of quality. It's a better time, but it's a better. I mean, you would say it's a better show.
Depends how you define quality. Are the camera angles better? Yes. Is no one shouting at producers off camera? Yes.
Does it make you think, or does it completely shut down your brain to the point that you might be in a coma? Yes.
But they didn't go to Panama. They didn't go on really cheap date activities.
Yeah.
No one picked a damn apple in the entire series.
Yeah, and it sucked because when the characters and Devs started saying really complicated things, they were actually important to the plot. Unlike Married at First Sight, when Zach just says a bunch of things and it's not important at all because he's stalking in circles.
Married at First Sight could use better writing.
Should we talk about the Survivor thing, or do you want to not do that?
Maybe another time. Maybe next week if we don't have something to talk about, because I want to finish the whole season though.
Yeah, we need to get caught up anyway.
Yeah, which actually I want to do right now. Anyway,
Right now?
I mean, yeah, we'll play it by ear.
Let's play it better. All right.
Anything else to say?
No, nothing at all to say. Grace, did you have a good time here?
I had a great time. Let us know your guys' thoughts if you watch this. And also thank you for watching and listening to this podcast. If you don't indulge at all in Married at First Sight, we appreciate you listening and having thoughts of your own anyway. And let us know other shows that you recommend that we should watch. Too Hot to Handle. I don't know if I can actually get into that. A lot of people recommended that.
I think the title literally is exactly true, and I'm not
can't
going to watch
handle
it.
it.
Yeah, I watch all that. I don't need to see this many pretty people being dumb. It's not too. It's too much. It makes me feel bad. So I can't do it.
Okay. Well, that's that on that.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Just
if it's on in the background, that's fine. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.